friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jamie and I hope you are having an absolutely wonderful season of love. It is February and that means romance. And today I am starting out a very exciting vlog, a vlog I have been looking forward to for honestly way too long. Recently I have gotten into romance, just a little tiny bit, which if you don't know, I really do not read romance. I don't really do romance in general. It's just not my favorite thing. That's not what I'm here for. But I recently read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies and I was kind of living for the romance in that. So I have been on a little bit of a romance kick, but I don't think that I am ready to dive completely into the romance genre. And that means I'm going to do a little bit of a mix up here where I'm going to do romance, but make it horror. How fun does that sound? I'm so excited, especially when you see the lineup of books that I have. I have two of them here with me and one of them I'm going to be picking up from the library whenever it becomes available to me. So I'll just talk about the ones I have here first. The first one, the one that I'm so excited, I'm dying to read this. This is Bloom by Deliah S. Dawson. I know that this has been kind of making its rounds a little bit on BookTube, but I picked this up back in November during my Atlanta indie bookshop crawl, and this is a local author. She is local to the actual area, the specific area of Atlanta that I got the book from, and I do have a signed copy. So I think that's just really, really cool that I get to support a local author. There you go, you can see her signature. I am so excited that I get to check off yet another book off my Atlanta indie bookshop crawl, all the things I purchased during that, so very happy. And this is a little tiny novella, so this should not be hard to get through. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this book. Look at this cover, and like this is like rose gold. It's so fabulous. Look at the flowers. I'm living for it. So this is about a sapphic relationship gone amiss, I'm assuming. Like, it's a horror book, so I'm assuming something's gonna go wrong with it. But specifically, this book says that it's cottagecore meets like deadly horror. That sounds insane and I'm so excited about it. Especially like just listen to this blurb on the back. It says, delicate and murderous, delight in the berries, blood, and cupcake frosting. Like, that sounds like the perfect mix and I cannot wait. This one has been like so high on my list. So dying for this one. And then I have The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Learoux. Of course, this is the classic French novel. I am actually going to be listening to this on audiobook, and I'm also very excited because once I read this will cross off my 1 classics per quarter goal for 2024, so excited to knock that off my list. Also, my plan is to watch the movie after. So I have seen the Phantom of the Opera musical. I saw it live in London. So fabulous, so amazing. But to be honest, like, I don't think that I was really capturing the plot of what was going on. I was just so stunned by like the music and the set dressings and everything. Like, I don't think I was really following the plot. Like, obviously I know that there's a phantom and he falls in love with the girl Christine, and yeah, that's that. But I really didn't get more than that. So I'm hoping that the novel is going to like illuminate the plot of the story a little bit better. Also, this is Emma from Emmy Reads. This is her favorite book, so I've been very curious about it ever since I found that out. And I just hope that this is a blast because I love the musical and I want to watch the movie, which I don't even think that I've seen the movie start to finish. So I'm excited for that. And then the last book that I have on this TBR is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is, of course, a BookTube darling and one that has been on my TBR for a while, but I have just never made it a priority. And that is changing now because I am so excited to read this book. This is following one of Dracula's wives. It's actually her diary. So it's a Dracula vampire story and absolutely everyone who reads it loves it. And I recently saw a review that just made me want to pick this up immediately. So we are adding this to the romance meets horror TBR. It really has been a while since a TBR has made me as excited as this one is making me. So I am just going to dive right in. I will be starting with Bloom, and like I said, I'm going to be doing the audiobook for this one, but starting with Bloom and hoping to get through it pretty quickly because it is so short. I mean, it's only at 200 pages, which, look, this sounds like my perfect book. The description sounds perfect. It's only 200 pages long. Like, this, I am hoping, dying for a 5-star read. Okay, hello. Giving my first reading update on Bloom. I'm over halfway at this point. It's not a long book, and it's not taking me very long to read either. Um, I'm definitely enjoying it. I love the vibe. It kind of reminds me of Midsummer, not in the plot in any way, but just the fact that like it takes place during the summer, but there is this kind of underlying sinister feeling about it. But I have not got to any horror yet. I've not got to any horror yet, and I have like 80 pages left. So the horror does not kick in until I guess the very last minute, which is not surprising. That's usually how it is with short stories, novellas, stuff like that. This book follows two women, or specifically it's from first person perspective of a woman who is an assistant professor, and she is feeling kind of just lost, and she strikes up a somewhat of a relationship with this woman who she meets at a farmer's market, and it's kind of a very fast and very like hot burning like romance infatuation that goes on. And the woman who's working at the farmer's market, she is like cottagecore queen. She like lives on a farm and grows her own food, and she just like lives out in the wilderness. And she has some slightly terrifying tendencies, I guess, or just things that she has to do to survive in the wilderness. So that's really all I'm getting so far, but I do really like the vibe. The writing style is very over the top, kind of like very flowery. Like the character is an English professor, so I feel like it almost sounds like the way that she talks. It's like she just threw a thesaurus in there and started swapping out words. So it is a little bit silly, but I think that is a little bit the point, and I am enjoying it. Yeah, I really like the vibe. I love the atmosphere of the summer, and it's like very indulgent with the fruits, and the food is very prevalent. And the nature, the atmosphere, everything, but it is not horror yet. I am engaged. I am like curious as to what is going on. So I'm enjoying that. I also am like 25% of the way through the Phantom of the Opera, and this one I am enjoying. The writing style is more accessible than I thought it would be, but it does do that thing that a lot of classic books do, where you're kind of hearing this story, like the main characters, you're not getting the story from them, you're getting the story of them from all these different periphery characters, and that does make it a little bit frustrating at times. And like I said, when I saw the musical, I had no idea what the plot was. I was like, is the Phantom a good guy, a bad guy? Like, my brain was not comprehending that story. And the book is, I think, almost equally unclear at this point. I don't really know exactly what's going on, other than our protagonist, Christine. She is kind of being gifted her voice by the Phantom in a way, although it's kind of confusing because there's the ghost, and then there's also what she calls the angel of music. And I feel like at this point I'm a little bit unclear as to whether or not those are the same thing. So like I said, I'm also listening to this on audiobook, so it could just be that maybe I am missing some things. But it's relatively entertaining. Only 25% in. I'm very interested to see where that goes. I do want more romance right now because I'm like not getting a ton of romance. And then with Bloom, as far as the romance goes, I mean, part of it is just that this is a very, very short book, but it's such an instantaneous infatuation that it's really like there's not a lot of buildup. But there are some pretty romantic, pretty hot scenes already. So there's that. But it's not like the romance that I'm really looking for. Obviously, I wasn't expecting too much romance in this short little horror book, but Phantom of the Opera, I want more like heartwarming elements of romance. We'll see. Maybe I'm just not going to be reading the right books for that. I'm not getting heartwarming romance from these horror books, but anyway, I do think that there's a book out there that can be both. We will just see. We will see. Good morning. Okay, well, I have just completed a book for this reading vlog. And also, surprise, I got new bookshelves. My fiance gave me another set of bookshelves for my birthday, so I'm working through putting them together. They still have a long way to go. My office is like a mess, and then there's even like space, like I haven't even filled them all. So still working on that, but this is the current setup. Okay. I just finished Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. Actually, I finished it last night, right after I updated you. I just read all the way to the end. And I am very mixed on my thoughts about this. There were things that I liked. I liked the majority of the book, but I don't think that I liked the ending. And it's times like this where I'm just sitting here being like, do I actually like horror books? Like, truly, do I actually enjoy the horror aspects of a horror book? Because I mentioned in my update that I hadn't gotten to the horror, and really, I mean, the horror is a very, very late addition to the book. I mean, not that I think that she added it later, but I mean that, like, you're basically looking at 20 pages left in the book, and that's when things even begin to start. So I liked all of the book leading up to that, but then when we actually got there, I just thought it was like a bit ridiculous. I don't know, like, it's very obvious what's going on. Like, I don't think this is going to be a big twist for anybody. Like, there's really clearly only one way this is gonna go. So I wasn't surprised that that is how it ended, but I'm surprised at how over the top and ridiculous the ending actually is. I don't know, like, I'm torn because I do think that, like, the vibe, the atmosphere, the cozy cottagecore-ness of it, like, it reminds me of Midsummer, and I think that's really fun. I really love the setting. Like, there is something about horror that takes place in the summer that I'm just like, I just think is really fun. So I really enjoyed that. I think like a big hindrance of this book though is that their relationship is so fast. Like, it is like insta love, truly. Like, she takes one look at this girl and she's like head over heels in love. And I just feel like because of that, the horror at the end just like doesn't really land for me, you know? Like, it would be more interesting if we had really seen this develop and this was a person that she really had like a deep attachment to, and then, you know, this stuff happens. But because it is so like insta love, you're like, well, I mean, come on, like, you should have seen this coming almost. So I don't know. I'm torn about this. I'm really torn. I don't know if I like it enough to like keep it in my collection, because like the ending, it's just wild. It's just wild. Yeah, it's pretty messed up in the end. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's short though. I'm glad I read it. It's a very short book. I actually enjoyed my time with it for the most part. It's just that ending. I don't know what to think or make of it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Bloom. Horror, it was on the more ridiculous side, and the horror did not come in until the very end of the book. And the romance, it's insta love, but there are some pretty cute and even a little bit spicy scenes. Not overly, but like, it goes in that direction, and you know, that was nice. But it's just that their relationship is like built on absolutely no foundation, so that makes it kind of hard to get behind. I'm going to give this a 3.5 stars, and we're moving on. Hello. I am in a random town in South Carolina for work, and hopefully you can hear me with the wind. It's kind of ridiculous, but okay. So I was getting a bit concerned because it is February 10th and my hold of A Dowry of Blood has not come in from the library. I'm first in line, but it hasn't come in, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be gone for the whole weekend and I have a lot of time to kill in between what I'm doing for work, so I really wanted to get some reading done. And I brought another book, but like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am not gonna get this vlog out because not before Valentine's Day, because the book is not coming in. And then this morning I had some time to myself and I was like, oh, I'll just go into Barnes & Noble, even though I'm supposed to be on a book buying ban, and I really shouldn't even go into Barnes & Noble because bad things happen when I walk into bookstores. I'm gonna buy a book. But I was really trying to be strong, but then I did see that they did have a Dowry of Blood, and I had $5 in rewards credits, and I was like, okay, I have so much time right now. I'm gonna break my book buying ban to get this book paperback. I had $5 off, so it ended up being like a reasonable price. And the thing is, I'm just gonna sit here and read it. And I have like 2 to 3 hours before I have to do what I'm doing for work. So I'm really hoping that I can get like halfway through this book. I even started the first couple pages and I saw that there's a lot of really short chapters and like a lot of blank pages. So I really think that I can make quick progress with this. So I was like, okay, it's fine if I buy a book and actually read it. What's bad about buying books is when you buy them and you don't read them. They just sit on my shelf forever. So that's really why I have the book buying ban in place, is so that I don't buy books and then just never read them. But if I'm going to read this right now, I felt like it was fine to buy. This is me just justifying my poor actions, but I did try to get it from the library. It didn't come in time, and now I'm going to read it right now, and hopefully I will have an update for you very, very soon. I think I already told you what this is. It's a Dracula retelling, or rather, it follows one of Dracula's wives. It's told from her perspective in letters. I'm going to get into this, and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, I just finished part 1 of A Dowry of Blood. I got to page 83. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's very much a vampire story with all of the vampire trappings. It's very atmospheric. Dracula and our main character, I think her name is pronounced Constanta. They are both vampires, and it's very much like aware of what they are. And part 1 follows them for centuries of their life, actually. But so far it's only the 2 of them, and I believe that other vampires are going to be introduced. But yeah, it's very interesting. Definitely very atmospheric writing style that I'm enjoying, and it reads very quickly, which I was pretty surprised by because I thought this was going to be a little bit long and difficult to get through, but it actually really reads very, very fast. So, you know, I'm kind of interested to see what happens from here. I don't know if I'm the biggest vampire person. Like, I'm not necessarily drawn to vampire stories, but the atmosphere is always very fun. And I do like the very extravagant living situation that they have, and they're kind of hopping from city to city now, which is very fun for me. So I am very intrigued to see where we're going from here, because it seems like this first part was all the love story and the rest of it is going to be where things fall apart. So yeah. Zuko, oh, he's so cute. And Azula, 2 cats in this shot. Wow, very, very cute. Okay, hi. It is February 13th, which means I'm not getting this vlog out by Valentine's Day. That was an ambitious goal anyway, so it is what it is. Sorry, this romance vlog is coming a little bit late, but you know what? We are making progress because I just finished The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Learoux. For a second, I forgot the title of this book. Phantom of the Opera. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Okay, let's talk about it. Yeah, I had a lot of issues with this book, but I am happy that I read it because I get to cross off my 1 classic per quarter. This was Q1, and I'm happy that I get to do that. But as far as what The Phantom of the Opera is, it's, as a book, not what I was expecting at all. Like, I was expecting a really dramatic, tense romance, and, you know, with maybe like some spooky elements, maybe. I mean, I really wasn't expecting, like, you know, like older works, like classic works of horror, are just not going to be scary to me. Like, they're just not scary. So I wasn't expecting it to be legitimately horror, but I was expecting there to be some maybe tension at the very least, romantic tension. That's what I was here for. And no. That is not what this is, unfortunately. This is a weird book, like very, very odd, especially what happens in like the last 10% of the book is absolutely insane. Like, I don't think that in a million years I could have guessed how this book ends. Like, it is absolutely insane. And I don't think I liked it. No, I know I didn't like it because I was just like, what in the world are we doing here? What is this? What is this? I don't even understand this. I didn't like it. The stage show, I was pretty confused in the stage show. I was like, are we meant to root for the Phantom? Like, is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? I'm not really understanding their relationship. And it does make it more clear in here that he's not meant to be root for, but at the same time, I don't really remember anything about the stage show other than the songs, but I don't really remember the plot. But what I can say is that the plot of the book and the show are completely different. Like, they are not really the same other than basically the setup. And that's the thing, is that I was into this book for like the first like 30%. I was like, okay, this is the setup I was expecting. I'm interested to see what's going on here. But it quickly started to derail and just go in a couple different directions that I was not expecting and just didn't do anything for me. The characters are a big problem for me because if I'm going to be into a romance, then I have to understand who the characters are as people, as individuals, and then, root for their romance. This is sort of like a love triangle situation, and honestly, both of the men were horrible, and I just didn't care for them at all. And then our protagonist, Christine, I really wish that we could have learned more about her. Like, we just don't know anything about Christine. She's barely even a character, and I just don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. This is supposed to be about Christine and about how these men like are all vying for her attention and her love, and like I don't know. I didn't like it. I did not like it. I mean, is it like objectively a terrible book? No, it's not. It's a classic for a reason, and I think like as far as classics go, it does a lot of what you would expect. A big problem that I did have was that like the perspective choices that were chosen to tell this story just didn't make any sense to me. Like I said, we don't know who Christine is. It would be really nice to actually get this story from Christine's perspective, but I understand if you're gonna not do that. What I don't understand is how, especially towards the end of the book, the perspective we get is just, it's from a person who's not even, the book is not even about them. I don't understand why we were doing that. And we just spent a lot of time away from the central story. It's just, no, it's not romance. It's not horror. So not, a great addition to this vlog, but I did try. I did give it a try. I did read a classic for my goals this year, which is really great. I don't think I would recommend this. I would just say watch the movie, watch the show, and just like enjoy the songs, because that's really what the fun of this show is about. It's not for the plot, it's for the music. So there we go. Tried that. I get to cross it off. I do own this copy, so it does feel like amazing to get through a book that I own and a classic. So I'm happy that I read it, even though I didn't like it. I gave it a 2.5. Moving on. Dowry of Blood. I haven't made any more progress yet. I've just been really, really exhausted. I've been super busy for both of the jobs that I work. So haven't made much more progress in a Dowry of Blood, but I did just want to like say that I did mean to get this vlog out for, oh my God, my brain is broken. I almost said for Thanksgiving. No, for Valentine's Day. I did mean to get this out for Valentine's Day. That's not gonna happen, but hopefully it's not super late. I have no idea what day you're gonna be seeing this on, because I don't know whenever I finish this book. So far, this vlog is not going super well, but I do have high hopes that I will end up really liking Dowry of Blood, or at least like, it's at least going to get over a 3 stars. I would really love for it to push into that 4 or maybe even 5-star range, but right now I can at least know that it's not going to be below a 3 unless something goes horribly wrong. But I'll update you when I finish this book. Okay, hello again. I have just finished A Dowry of Blood, and actually I was cleaning my house today and I was like, okay, I will listen to the audiobook and just see if I can, get a couple more chapters through it. And when I saw that the audiobook was only 5 hours, and I listen to my audiobooks at 2 times speed, so that is a really, really, really short audiobook considering that this book is at 300 pages. So someone actually recently told me that if you want to gauge how long a book is, don't look at the page count, look at the audiobook hours. And that is very true because this ended up going a lot faster than I expected, and I was able to finish it today, which makes me so happy because it is the 18th. It's February 18th. We are well overdue for finishing this vlog. This was supposed to be obviously a Valentine's Day vlog, and that didn't happen, but look, aren't my flowers so beautiful? And my Valentine flowers, so beautiful. I love them so much. Okay, so talking about my thoughts on A Dowry of Blood. I'll be honest with you, if I would have known that the audiobook for this was only 5 hours long, I would not have bought myself a physical copy, so I do kind of regret doing that, and I should have looked at my resources a little bit better before I bought this copy. But at the time when I did buy the copy, I actually wanted to physically read it. Like, I didn't want to do the audiobook. Again, there's no rhyme or reason as to when I'll pick up an audiobook and when I'll do a physical. Sometimes I switch, sometimes I change my mind. Like, it really just doesn't make any sense. I just wanted to finish this so I could get this vlog out. It was okay. It was okay. I don't know, like, I do think that the writing and the storytelling was pretty strong. Like, there was actually a story and there were actual genuine characters, and I did really enjoy the writing style. St. Gibson has a really beautiful and flowery kind of stylistic writing style, which is always my thing, so I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it. But did I actually care for the story that was being told here? I don't know. I think that, like, I just don't know that vampires are really my thing. If you do like a vampire story, I mean, I would think that you would really, really like this because it's very vampire centric. Like, there's always blood being drank, and it's in this like lavish lifestyle, and it has that like eroticism that is very prevalent in vampire stories, very much so. I mean, this is like, I wouldn't say that it's like straight up like smutty, like there's not a lot of like on page scenes, but it's definitely very heavily revolves around like sex and their kind of revelry and lust and all of that stuff. So that's very, very prevalent in here. This also, and I don't even think that I knew this going into here, I don't think I really fully was aware that this is a book about polyamory and a polyamorous relationship. So I mean, that was pretty cool, actually. I didn't know that that was going to be in here, but that is very much prevalent. It's not just a small part of the story. It is a big focus. And I really did enjoy all the characters for the most part. I think it's just, for me, it's just like, the vampire element of it, I don't know if it really does anything for me. I think this was well constructed, well executed. I honestly didn't really have any problems, but I don't think it really blew me away either. And as far as like the romance element of it, I mean, once again, the romance just didn't really do a ton for me. And I think it's just because I am not much of a romance person. Like, if you love the indulgent atmosphere of romance, if you can buy into these people being like deeply in love in this like eternal, like lifelong, multi-lifelong love, if you can believe and buy into that, then I think you'll have a fun time with this book. But for me, romance is just, it's never really what I'm primarily interested in with a book. Every once in a while, you know, there'll be one that I really enjoy. Like, I really enjoyed Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I enjoyed the elements of romance in that. I enjoy The Night Circus with the elements of romance in that. but I don't know. I guess it's just like the development of that relationship. This is very much like lust forward. Like, yes, the characters do say that they are in love, and I believe that they are in love, but the thing is that everything happens so fast. Like, she immediately falls in love with Dracula. She immediately falls in love with the other characters, and they fall in love with Dracula, like, immediately. Like, it is very much like kind of insta-lovey, but not in the way that insta-love is like a trope. It's more just like, in doing the vampire thing, that's kind of like the whole big part of it, right? Is that it's lust, but also violence kind of mixed together. Pain and pleasure, that combination is very much central to a vampire story. Yeah, I don't know. It was fine. It was fine. I give it a 3, but like a good 3. I might even be generous and give it like a 3.5, but probably more fairly like a 3.25, because I do think it did a lot of good things. I just don't think that I really cared all that much for it. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to unhaul it, because I do think there is a world in which I would recommend this to people. I do think there's a world in which this could be good for somebody coming to my library. Again, as if I have anyone coming to my library, I'm just saying, I don't know. I enjoyed this, and it was a very easy read, which made me happy. But I didn't love it. I didn't feel enamored by it in the way that I wanted to feel. So yeah, overall, my romance but make it horror reading vlog. Oh, I didn't even really talk about the horror aspects. There are none. This is not a scary book. This is not even really, like, the horror elements are like not present at all. Of these 3, this one would be the most like disturbing horror. These 2 are, it's just, there's no horror in it really, other than like, obviously they're vampires, but the scenes are not tense, it's not scary, it's nothing like that. So my romance but make it horror vlog, I would say probably a miss overall, but I'm happy with my choices, because this one, it's really short. I love the concept, and I got it recently, like during my Atlanta indie bookshop crawl, so I'm super happy to cross this off my list. The Phantom of the Opera crosses off a classic off my list, which is a goal for 2024, so really happy there. And of course, A Dowry of Blood is a booktube darling, and everyone's read it, and I really want to know what's going on there. So all in all, I can't be mad about my choices. At the end of the day, I just don't think that I am much of a romance person, and we already knew this. So adding horror to it, these days I'm wondering if I'm even a horror person, because like, didn't do it for me. There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, week, month, and year, and I will see you back here next time. Thanks so much. Bye.